All right, welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. If you are in the market for a new car, make sure you check out my guy Matt Bowers at one of his many locations throughout the region. He will get you the best prices, the best customer care. Shop smart, shop local, shop with Matt. All right, B, what do we got?
We have our first topic presented by Hard High Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Mel Kiper, he came out with his first post-free agency mock draft. And you look, and he has the Saints taking Jaxson Dart at number 9, the Ole Miss quarterback who we got a chance to see at the Senior Bowl. And then also in quarterback news regarding the Saints, Cam Ward, touted as one of the top 2, if not the top quarterback pick in this draft cycle, was talking about how he really likes the Saints and was talking about how like he knows all like kind of like the lore that goes with it. I think he mentioned like Colston or somebody like that. So quarterback news, Saints, pick 9. What do you see happening, man?
All respect to Mel Kiper, absolute legend, one of the best mock drafters in the history of the world. Kind of created the industry. Anytime Mel says something, you stop, you listen, you pay attention, you lock in, and it can lead a news cycle as it's doing right this very moment. But with all due respect to Mel, I think he's throwing darts on this one. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I don't see Jaxson Dart being an option for the Saints at pick 9. I think I think that's kind of maybe connecting dots a little bit with where they're at with Derek Carr and all the talk about him possibly being a post June 1st trade, and Derek Carr talking about possibly not wanting to be here, to wanting a trade. And he hasn't talked about it, but there's been reports on that, reports from us. So he was seeking a trade before that restructure happened. So I think people are looking at that and seeing that there is an obvious end of the road for this situation at some point in time based on current information. Now, Derek Carr could come in and have an amazing season and it opens up that window again. But where it stands right now, it does feel like there's a expiration date on this situation, and therefore I see the logic in putting Jaxson Dart in there. I just don't think his game warrants that pick. He does not have elite traits in any single area. I think if you're drafting a quarterback at 9, you want to find something that he's absolutely elite at. But I will say this, I wouldn't have liked Bo Nix as a top 10 pick last year. I would have said, no way, he isn't worth it. And he went a little bit outside of that, but he would have been worth that pick. In in hindsight, I think maybe it's a little bit overlooking that he has this elite ability in the short area of the field that you don't necessarily put a lot of weight on. But I just don't see it with Dart. You watch his tape, it's kind of like he's throwing 2 routes all the time. It's so much down the field. It's very good. He's very good at almost everything. He runs really well. He's very physical. He has a lot of moxie. He's got leadership. I think you could call him a winner. Like he just kind of plays like a winner. But I just don't see it at pick 9. So I would say no there. Now, Cam Ward, if he was there, yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think the Saints love him. I think they like him a lot. I can see it. I just don't think he's going to be there. Shefty said yesterday he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. That the Titans are closing in on him. So I
Yeah.
don't see it happening. But also, like the other thing here, Cam Ward's doing an interview not in New Orleans, but for the purposes of Cam Ward and the draft process, it might as well have been in New Orleans. It's in the state. Archie Manning standing off to the side. It's a New Orleans media. You know, what are you going to say?
Well,
What
yeah.
are you going to say?
Yeah. Nah, for sure. And look, I saw you throw it out there. You said Mel Kiper was throwing darts with Dart. I see what you did. I see
Yeah,
what you
that's
did.
right.
You're cooking a little bit right there. But no, as a quarterback that threw for basically 4,300 yards and has 6 interceptions, yeah, for what he is in that Ole Miss system, he was good, but there's nothing there that says, oh, this can be the guy. Now, you look last year and how the Falcons at that same pick 9 took Michael Penix, and he's now going to be their starter after they paid Kirk Cousins. That's a whole nother situation. That's their problem in all honesty. But that fresh start kind of that comes with him. I just don't see Jaxson Dart being the guy. You know what I mean? In terms of long term, I don't know where he can battle at kind of with Spencer Rattler. Now, if you say that rounds 3 through 5, then yeah, get him for sure if he's still there. But I don't see him as being like, okay, yes, push all the chips in the table, get him at pick 9. Cam Ward, yes, if he is available, take him, get him, make it happen. I remember when he played at, I want to say Incarnate Word. Uh, Yeah, I had to throw my little FCS knowledge in there. They came down to Thibodeau one time, and I saw him, and I was like, "Yeah, this dude is way too good to be playing in this arena." And then he went on to play at Washington State, and then finally ended off at Miami. So I think even with his different experiences moving throughout the college system, his maturity level is at maybe a different spot in terms of handling new offenses and just differences in league caliber situations. I don't think Jaxson Dart is at that level yet.
Yeah, I was asking some people yesterday about where he would where Spencer Rattler would rank in this draft class if he were entering this, and I shared this nugget on the Nick cast yesterday. If you aren't signed up to the site, make sure you sign up for it.
Yeah,
That's a lot of stuff on there that we aren't putting out on here, but that's a exclusive podcast just for our members. But yeah, I had asked 3 different scouts to rank the quarterbacks and as if Rattler was in this draft class, and all 3 of them put Ward ahead of him, Shedeur ahead of him, and Dart ahead of him. And then there was some variance there on that final spot. The Louisville quarterback was one guy that was kind of a push for somebody. Somebody else had Ewers over Rattler, and then Rattler was 4th on another list. So there, I think Dart is ahead of him. I think he's a better. You're talking about him as a potential first round top 10 pick, and I don't
yeah,
think that was the case with Rattler coming into this. And I think he definitely is a better prospect than Spencer Rattler right now. You made a good point though, like bringing up Atlanta. I don't think that the Derek Carr restructure, contract, anything like that precludes you from making a move at that position. I think you are still open to every single option.
sure, yeah,
Yeah, no doubt about it. It doesn't stop you because I think Derek Carr is just the solution for right now. He's not the solution long term. Again, I think coming up upon this, you see an obvious division point, which is what I think leads Mel Kiper to that pick. And it's very logical looking at it that way because they do have to find a long term solution and they have to get the right guy and they need to start over at that position. And I would say all the commitment to Derek Carr to this point right now, yes, they view him as their quarterback. They want him to be their quarterback. That's because they are committed to winning right now. Whereas I think some of us on the outside, myself included, have looked at the situation and said, maybe
me
it's
too.
time to start
No, you can
rebuilding a little
include
bit.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm in that
I
same
think
camp.
I
Yeah,
think all of us, we sit around and say, man, like I would start over. I would do something different.
mhm,
But I get it, and this is the path they're on. And I think the reason that you even talk about Derek Carr in these trade rumors is because he has actual tangible trade value that somebody else would want him to be their starter.
right,
So it makes sense that they make this commitment to him, but I think it's for right now. Derek Carr is the best option right now. Kellen Moore wants him as his quarterback right now. Mickey Loomis wants him as the Saints quarterback right now. I don't think that means they want him to be here when he's 40 years old. Not yet, at least. He could come
right,
in here and be awesome this season, and that kind of resets everything, and it would probably make Derek feel great, and it would make Kellen feel great, and it would make Mickey feel great, and it would make the fans feel great, and everybody would be on the same page. But I think if you're still feeling empty at the end of the season, that's probably how it's going to feel, and it's going to be time to restart at that position. So it makes sense to look at it that way. But I don't think they have a long-term answer on their roster. I don't
no,
think they have a long-term answer anywhere. And I do think that it is I'm gonna overstate it by saying it is time to start looking because they have been looking for a long time. Teddy Bridgewater, 3rd round pick put into him. Garrett Grayson, 3rd round pick put into him. Jay Canner, 4th round pick put into him.
yeah,
Spencer Rattler, 5th round pick put into him. Jameis Winston, time and effort put into him. Tried to make Taysom Hill a thing, almost made it happen, didn't quite get there. Andy Dalton was a shot in the dark. Like Derek Carr, there have been aggressive efforts to find a long term post Drew Brees answer, and they have just all failed. But
right.
I would like to see that effort manifest at some point when the right opportunity is there with a early draft pick heavy commitment. But that would just mean you love the person, you actually view him as that. I just don't think the opportunity's been there. It's not that like you can't just be like time to start over and you got your quarterback. You might draft Zach Wilson. It just kind of goes like that. But
Yeah.
I would like to see them look. I wouldn't be mad at them if they swung and missed on a QB early in the draft because it means you're trying. But you do have to try on the right guys, and I just don't think they've had that opportunity yet.
No, and you say swing and miss at a QB, but I don't think you should swing and miss at Jackson Dart. I don't think it's worth you have too many other things you gotta handle with that pick. Like, it kinda is setting up the trajectory of what the Kellen Moore era kinda will be with this pick because even looking at Derek Carr, all the things like that people kind of like get mad at him about, it's on the field kind of stuff. Run for it on second down and dive, and then now your hand is, messed up. Versus someone like when Aaron Glenn was in New York, Aaron Rodgers, his skills had kind of diminished, but he also was like always in the media. You know what I mean? Some of his own volition. You know what I mean? Always just talking and doing things and being distracted. And the first thing they did is, all right, we got to get you out of here and start something new, start something fresh. So with Carr, it's just like, all right, you're a good temp fix for now, but you're not the long term solution. And yeah, swing at it, but swing at it with somebody that can kind of be a long term solution. And even you talk about trying to find that Drew Brees replacement. We'll get into that in a segment coming up, but you've been swinging and missing for a while at some things. Like, did you really think Gary Grayson was going to be the answer at quarterback? You know what I mean? Like, that took a lot of
Well, hey, Sean Payton said that was the best quarterback workout he's ever seen. They went in the middle of the night, like he tells the whole story. It was
yeah,
raining. They went and looked for him. But that's what happens. Like you draft these guys, you look at traits and you miss. Everybody misses.
yeah,
And
for sure.
everybody it's littered with misses. There are more misses at that position than hits. Nobody is good at scouting quarterbacks. And I think a lot of it has to do with what you can't see on the field. I think that takes a level of commitment that
Yeah,
is just unbelievable and unpredictable, and you can't really know that about somebody until they're in it. I think it's one of those positions where success is determined by how much of your life you're willing to give to it to a large degree, and
yeah,
I think that's true in almost every field in life, that there's a level of success that you have to be willing to sacrifice more than everybody else to kind of climb to the top of the heap. But I think it quarterback, that's especially true. And I think the payoff and the margins and that just that little bit always makes so much more difference at a position where you're touching the ball on every single play. I think it shows up everywhere. Mike Thomas has given more of his life to being the greatest wide receiver he can be than somebody else. And that's how 4.57 and all that stuff becomes 1,900 yards and record setting performance. But I think at quarterback, those little margins of, I'm not going to have this drink. I'm not going to go out tonight. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to study and I'm going to find out how the safety moves his hips and when his foot's set. Like those little differences, I think, over the accumulation of time are the true difference. And I don't know how you can't scout that. You can't scout it, and I think that's the main reason why that position's so hard to figure out.
man, that's a great way of putting it. Just even seeing the best quarterback in football, kind of like how his personal life kind of played out towards the end, but he got the rings to show for it. You know what I mean? So it's pretty wild. Now, kind of reversing back to that, talking about filling in that Drew Brees hole a little bit. I kind of took my hand on my answer, but let's go into our next segment presented by Shybear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. If you could bring one former Saint back in their prime to join this 2025 team, who would it be? And
I,
you
I'm
could,
gonna let you go first. Yeah, let's
yeah.
take Drew off the board because Drew's the
Oh
answer.
well, yeah. 2011 Drew was
Yeah,
my answer for sure.
yeah.
But I mean, to help this team, now, you have to see what that team looks like going into training camp because talking about Jared Carr being a post June 1st trade, I would say 2019 Michael Thomas, but knowing his feelings towards Carr, I don't know if that will work. But let's go with the offensive line, man. Let's go with the offensive lineman. Uh, I'm going with T. Stab from 2018. I
Okay.
think
All
I
right.
think
Yeah.
that'll be
Okay.
a good source of protection. It eliminates some of the headaches that's keeping you up at night on the line, and you can figure it out almost at any other position after that. But I'm going with T-Stead 20, 2018. Yeah.
All right. I was gonna go Mike because and you can just I wasn't factoring the car element of it,
Yeah.
but you can just get rid of the quarterback because Mike is elevating. You saw what happened when
Sure.
Drew missed those games. Mike's elevating everybody. So put anyone in there with Mike, and I think you're a better team. But I'll go another direction. There were two more guys on my list.
Mm,
One would be my real answer. The other one is like low key kind of the real answer, but it's going to piss everyone off, so I'm not going to go with it.
okay.
We'll start with that one. Desperate need for a pass rusher. You're moving to a 3-4.
Yeah.
They had a guy that was an awesome stand-up pass rusher that actually couldn't put his hand in the dirt. couldn't stay on the field. But when he was playing well, he was a game wrecker, and he was able to move backwards as well as forwards, as well as anybody that size that I've ever seen. That would be Marcus Davenport. Like, you could give me healthy Marcus Davenport 17 games in this scheme. I think it's crazy, but I'm not gonna pick him. So
All right, who you
I'm
got?
just turning back the clock on Cam. Just give me younger
Is
game
that
wrecking
cheating?
Cam.
Is that cheating? Is
I don't
that
think so.
cheating? You don't think it's
Bring
cheating?
back prime. You said bring back prime player.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we can get rid of the current version, put young Cam out there then if you don't, or it can be a two Cam situation. They got, the back of the phone, they got multiple. This thing got two. That thing got two cameras on it, so we can have two cams. We can have the iPhone defense. Put two cams out there
Okay.
and let it roll. But yeah, I think they need
Right.
that pass rusher bad. And those
Oh,
are
for
the
sure.
two. Look, there's other ones throughout history that you could probably pick, but I'm telling you, like, healthy Davenport was crazy. No one will ever want to admit it, but he was the most talented player on the field a lot of days when he was right. And then in this scheme, I think he'd be excellent.
I mean, man, there's a all-pro linebacker. He used to play for the Saints. Coming off his greatest season going into 2025. Why not keep that
Yeah,
train rolling?
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, this could get funny a lot of different ways. Yeah, Trey, just
Yeah.
current Trey. Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, there's people in the league right now that are just coming off of some of their top seasons, if not top 2 seasons, and you could put them back and insert them in here. But I think it all starts at the head. Of course, Drew Brees is that's the answer, but if you get that quarterback position right, all of these other things will fall into place. You know what I mean? And 11 Breeze to me personally, that's like Super Bowl Breeze is goated in terms of like down here, but 11 Breeze is you can't stop that, man.
Yeah.
Anybody else like kind of was rattling in the back that you were thinking about? Like, I was trying to dig a little deep. I was like, okay, maybe like a I can't really say his name. You know what I mean? Like defensive players that had a big impact and stuff like that. But you got options.
Colston, Colston, Jimmy, Jabari. I mean, I think all those guys fill obvious holes on this team right now. Lat.
Yeah, but Lat, Lat, that'll make me sleep easier if he's prime ladders on this team. But you talk about Colston and Jimmy, those were some of my players, but the same reason like Michael Thomas, who's throwing them the ball. We've saw, we've seen Jimmy come down, not in his prime, but we've seen him down here. And yeah, in the red zone, he was a merchant whenever they put him in the games. But I
I,
don't know, man.
those guys would make Derek Carr better. They'd elevate him. Derek can throw the ball now. Like,
I
I
ain't
think he just needs
questioning that.
better
I know
guys
what he could do
catching
with
it. Yeah.
Shaheed. Yeah. No, I ain't questioning that at all. But it's just man, like, what is that relationship gonna be like? Not saying that everybody's like Mike or like on that same level of disdain that Mike has for it, but that's why I can't put Mike on the team because who's throwing him the ball? You know what I mean? A dude that he'll go in the locker room and say, "Yo,"
Yeah,
you know
that
what I
one I
mean?
can see. But yeah, I don't see Colston.
He doesn't
Colston's
talk.
just going to
Yeah,
go about his business.
yeah,
Jimmy's just going to go about his business. I think that'd be fine. But yeah, I would probably look at that corner position though. I think corner's the biggest hole. It's a
nah,
terrifying
for
hole on
sure.
this team. So going there, my real answer is probably Lattimore, or if we're doing guys that are no longer in the league, Jabari.
Yeah, you got Jabari, you got Malcolm Jenkins, you got a lot of people you can name and put on this team and make a difference. I think even in going back to the show from Monday, you put some of these non-Drew Brees names on this team, and it's changing the pendulum of wins for this season.
No question.
Yep. We're gonna hit a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more show.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Homa, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store.
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans. specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com.
Welcome back for more NOF. It is now time for our next segment. Nick, on Monday, Juwan Johnson's re-signing press conference was held at the facility, and he was pretty open about his free agency journey. He said how it took a phone call with him and Kellen Moore to kind of make him sign with the Saints. He was also not shy about saying the other teams that were courting him during this free agency period. You had Sean Payton in Denver. Obviously, we know the connection there. And then even Klint Kubiak, who is now the offensive coordinator in Seattle, they were courting him also. So kind of what makes you think he chose the Saints, man?
Two things. I think that call did play a big part. It
Mhm.
seemed like he was going back and forth with his decision and not knowing if he wanted to come back here or go with Sean Payton somewhere else or go with Klint Kubiak in Seattle. So it felt like he was weighing familiarity quite heavily within his decision. And he probably has never really talked to Kellen Moore before. He said prior to that, there was maybe a 5-minute phone call
Mhm.
where they talked and just kind of got to know each other, but never really talked about the vision for him or anything like that. And I think in this conversation, they had that conversation and he found out what Moore was thinking for him and how he could fit into the offense and the things that he could do playing for him in this system. And I think that played a big part for him. And he talked about just the coach picking up and that being a thing. He called
Yeah.
about 11 o'clock at night, more being available to have a 15, 20-minute conversation with him at that time showed him something as well. But I do think ultimately that the big decider in this was cash. You listen to those comments back, and he said that the Saints took their time making an offer and he was wondering what was going on. And then they showed up and made an offer bigger than what he was thinking. And I think if Sean Payton had made an offer that exceeded the $10 million per year, he'd be in Denver. I think if Schneider out in Seattle made an offer that exceeded the $10 million per year, he'd be in Seattle. I think the Saints offered him $10 million and the coach made him comfortable. So he took this one. And I don't think it was just all about money because I do think that call played a pivotal part. But
Yeah.
I think once you feel comfortable and the cash is there, the decision becomes somewhat easy, especially when you own a home here. You're raising kids here. You've built a life here a little bit. And I think everything just kind of lined up for him. But it was a little bit surprising to me to hear him talk about how slow the process was going on this side and him not really knowing what was happening. And then here's a bag. That kind of surprised me on how that played out.
No, for sure. And that's one thing that he kept on emphasizing, that him and his wife like kind of grew up here in terms of becoming an adult and learning how to start a family, raise a family, and continue to go as adults. And man, it's a beautiful thing kind of to see the process of him changing positions and kind of coming on as a tight end at different points and pieces. And he talked about that too, how yeah, I'm coming on at different points of the season. I need to make that a consistent thing, but commas will make you move. If you got more commas on the piece of paper, yeah, I'm making that happen. But you look at Denver, who's a team who is just coming off of playoff appearance. Seattle, team that's kind of putting themselves in positions to be long-term success in terms of investing in the quarterback position with Sam Darnold. And he chose to be here, and he kind of doubled down with his leadership takes with Derek Carr on how he is the person who's leading his team and how the team has to get behind him and continue to move forward like that. So I think he really sees himself as somebody who can ascend to another level to kind of justify the amount of money that he's being paid. But he's aware. He's aware. That's one thing that I took from him, that he's aware kind of yeah, I made some plays at certain pieces, but I had to have that consistently play out.
He absolutely has to be more consistent and more impactful for that money to feel like it's worthwhile
Yeah.
and he's earning it. 500 yards and 3 touchdowns, I think is what he had last year, 548.
Mm,
That's gotta be a higher number. It could even be the same number though, but it just needs to feel like it's different. It felt like a lot of those yards came in unimpactful situations. It felt like a lot of that production came after all the wide receivers were injured. It didn't feel like he was making game-changing plays in games that needed to be changed,
right.
and that's what I think you need to start seeing from him. That you just need to see that production overall, all the way across the field for him to be a guy that's worth $10 million per year. That's the contract if this thing doesn't work out and they don't win games that people are going to point to and hold over them. And
Yeah.
they probably should. I mean, it felt like a lot of money, but I do think that this is a guy that can be better. He just has to figure out how to do it and how to be more consistent and more productive and more impactful because he has the talent. We've seen it at times, but it's the drop passes and it's again just not making those plays when they count. For me, like 650 and 5 would probably feel close to it, or it could be back to where he was 2 years ago when he had 7 touchdowns and it felt like he was emerging as a red zone target. I don't know that there's a exact number threshold where you're like, okay, this is worth $10 million, but I think you'll know it when you see it. And no, not discrediting him, not being mean or rude. I just don't think that we have seen it to where it feels like it's worth 10 million. I think they're paying for some upside here.
Yeah, no, for sure. And kind of on the flip, what does this say about Kellen Moore, first time head coach, somebody who's learning how to really command an entire team? What does that say about him and his leadership style of picking up the phone at 11 o'clock and having this conversation with him and getting him signed?
Well, it felt like we spent endless hours with him sitting at a table at a Super Bowl
Yeah,
talking about everything but the Saints job because you could not talk about the Saints job. We tried to talk Saints job. Kellen Moore would not acknowledge anything about the Saints or the Saints job. So you start asking him a lot of questions about how he does things, his process, how he thinks, what he eats, what he watches, where he grew up, all this stuff.
yeah,
And he told us that he stays up all night watching film, scrolling the internet, watching high school plays on Twitter. Not a surprise to me that Juwan Johnson laying in bed at 11 o'clock at night, not being able to sleep, this weighing heavily on his mind, says, hey, I'm going to call this guy and see if he picks up and wants to talk about this. Not a surprise at all when he said this played out like that because he is up very, very late at night. I heard from some of the coaches that different people looking for jobs, people that got jobs, they reach out, they ask, they try to see what the situation is. And I heard from someone that said more texted him back at like 3:30 in the morning about a reach out for a job. So he is somebody that I think is just up late working, doing his thing. And so those are sometimes the best quiet hours. That's
yeah.
when everything settles down and there's no noise. And typically your phone isn't ringing. And that's the benefit, I guess, to being a stay up late person as opposed to an early riser. Other people are up early. Not a
Uh,
lot of people are up at 3 in the morning.
for sure. And as a stay up late person, you have things like social media to distract you and stuff. I guess the algorithm goes to sleep because you scroll and it's all the same tweets. It's like, all right, I've been through this a couple times. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and see the same things. But you talk about this man's commitment. Playboy Cardi just came out with an album called I Am Music. This dude, Kellen Moore, is football. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool to see that he's all the way invested. And I'm sure there's a lot of people like that, but seeing that firsthand, just like the pure investment into the sport is it's encouraging going into this season.
Yep.
Let's go into our next segment presented by Aaron Rose, doubling back to the draft, kind of that process conversation. Which is more important, the combine or the pro day? Kind of like, I know the intricacies of the pro day is where like teams get a chance to do interviews, but a lot of times now quarterbacks are saying, all right, I'm not going to throw there. I'm going to throw at my pro day. So which is more important?
Depends what you're trying to prove. If you're trying to make a case, I think that the combine is probably more important. If you're trying to prove that you're a fifth rounder that should go in the second round or something like that,
Mm,
I think kind of being in the more uncontrolled atmosphere of the combine and the level of competition and showing that you're better than your peers in a neutral setting where you aren't able to script everything and rehearse everything and have everything happen on your schedule. I think that's highly, highly important for people that need to do that. Now, if you're Cam Ward and you're just trying to show that you're the number one pick in the draft, you go out, you script your pro day, and you do it, and you execute how you need to execute. If you're McMillan from Arizona, the wide receiver who just had his pro day out in Arizona, Jeff Ireland was there, by the way. I think that you just got to make your case. You got to make your case. You got to show that you can run and show that you got good hands and nail your interview. So it makes sense to run there and just to make sure you're getting that solid time and everything's under your control and you know what the turf's like and you know if it's a fast turf and all this
Yeah,
stuff. But
yeah,
I think for different guys in different circumstances, the priority and the necessity changes and it's not one size fit all. So I think if you have your case made and you're just trying to solidify it, improve what has been shown on tape is real, pro day, do it there, script it, show them what they need to see it. Make sure you don't show them anything to feel bad about. But if you're trying to prove something, I think it's combine and pro day. You need to be good at both.
okay. No, for sure. And that kind of was going to be my answer. You do the business side at the combine. You know what I mean? You talk to the teams, you really get in there, you show them who you are. But at a pro day, it's going to be the closest thing, kind of like the season where you've had time to work with individual players in terms of receivers. You kind of know their body when they break on their route, kind of like how fast they turn their head around, things like that. And that's what it's going to be like during the game because you're going to have OTAs, training camp, practices, just all of that accumulating time on task with those other players to where you can showcase your ability to maximum potential. And yeah, I would say a combination of both in handling your business side at the combine and then showing your skill side at your pro day. For me, outside looking in would be the approach that I would take if I was like a top 10 quarterback pick.
The other thing too with the pro days, the meetings are a little bit different too. You only get 15 minutes at the combine. Now you get 30 top visits where you can bring guys in to your
Mhm.
building and you can go to any campus and have any type of meeting. So this is kind of overstating things a little bit, but the nature of the meeting is different. It's on time. Now there are other people that want to meet with people, but there have been times where the Saints have taken out like the whole team to a dinner and they're able to just get them in a situation where it's
Yeah.
more relaxed and you can just kind of see how people interact and talk to each other and they show a little bit more of them real selves. So it does take the formality out of that process. And I think there's value to that as well.
Nick, if you were in high school coming out and you were going through college, first of all, I think I know what position you would say that you would play, but what position would you want to be?
As a football player
Mm-hmm.
going into college,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I want to be a quarterback. Let me get the money.
All
Let
right.
me get the
So
money for sure. Let me
you're
get the
the
money for sure.
you're the QB at I'm gonna put you at Penn State. You're the QB at Penn State. You know you're gonna be top five. No, knowing you, you're probably gonna stay up all night and make sure that you're the top guy. What are you doing first? Are you throwing at the combine?
I'm taking everybody down. I'm taking everybody down in every setting, and I'm showing it every single time, every single place. I don't need strategy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna show them what I can do, and I'm gonna take them out. So I'm going for it, and I'm going for it in any venue. You want to show up in a parking lot and throw passes? I'm gonna throw passes.
Yeah.
I don't care. You want to put a tire up and see who can put the most through the tire? I'll put the most through the tire. If that's what I'm doing, I'm gonna be able to prove that I'm the best every single time, and I'm gonna put everything into it. So that would be my approach. What about
Man,
you?
you killed your combine interview just now.
What about
uh,
you? What are you doing?
you know, I got like flair for the dramatics. I say I might throw at the combine. Nah, I ain't feeling it. Let's save it for the pro day because I want to be there with my guys. You know what I mean? I want to even some of the guys who didn't get invited to the combine. If they're at my pro day, I'm letting everybody eat. You know what I mean? I'm trying my best to make everybody eat. Let's showcase his catching ability. Let's showcase how this tight end moves. Let's showcase how this receiver moves if he was overlooked in the pool of other players. So yeah, I'll do my business side, maybe hold like a private kind of thing at the combine, but showcase for like everyone in the internet at the pro day.
Okay. All right. All right.
We're gonna hit a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day.
Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, Half off of all diagnostic charges and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin's is your go-to destination for everything merry and bright this holiday season. From an unmatched selection of bourbon, whiskeys, and wines to gourmet food, gift baskets, and catering, Martin's has all your holiday needs covered. Family owned and operated since 1946, Martin's knows the perfect ways to celebrate this season with loved ones. Visit them in Metairie, New Orleans, or Baton Rouge, or shop online for the ultimate convenience. Whether you're raising a glass or looking for the perfect holiday gift, make it an easy and cheerful holiday with Martin's. Whether you are a local New Orleanian or a fan in town for the game, get your pre- and post-game fired up at Aaron Rose. Local chaos and local love for the black and gold. Wake up and live with daily drink specials, mimosas, screwdrivers, Bloody Marys, and hot or frozen Irish coffees, all just $3 or $4 between 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Aaron Rose, half a block from Bourbon Street in the French Quarter, 811 Conti Street.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, the crown jewel of entertainment destinations. From the thrill of gaming, where every spin and deal brings you closer to fortune, to the excitement of sports betting, where you can feel the rush of victory. Our spaces and catering menu are perfect for any event. From business meetings to grand celebrations, immerse yourself in our vibrant atmosphere with live music that keeps the party going all night long. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back for the Martin Wine and Spirits question of the day. Martin's is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin's, so much more than just wine. Today's question is, everyone is talking about the Saints' needs for the draft in terms of edge, wide receiver, cornerback, etc. But following Kellen Moore's philosophy to build in the trenches, this user thinks guard must be the priority.
I think guard is a priority. I think they should take a guard somewhere. I think they should probably go sign a guard somewhere. I would have taken Becton. I would have signed him to the contract probably that Juwan got first and then tried to get my tight end later. That's probably where I would have made my investment. But I think we've reached a point in the league where we just watched the Eagles do what the Eagles did behind the best offensive line that you could possibly assemble, which leads me to think that you should put all your resources into that. I think you should spend all your money there and just make sure that you have a great line. It's going to make your quarterback better. It's going to turn your 1,200-yard rusher into the best rusher that the NFL has ever seen. It elevates everybody. So, yes, I think that is the approach, and it should be the approach. But I cannot spend pick 9 on a guard.
No.
I just cannot do it. I can't do it. It's the investment's way too high. I think you can allocate your resources differently, and I'm just not doing it. If you take a guard at 9, he has to be maybe the best guard of his era, of his
Yeah.
lifetime. He has to
Yeah.
make the Hall of Fame to get the ROI there. So, yes and no. I think they need to make an investment, but I'm not making an investment with the 9th pick. Pick 40, sure, do it, but not at 9.
But it's before my time, but I don't even know if he played guard. He was an offensive lineman, though. He was like this highly touted dude, like an incredible, like physical kind of guy. I want to say his name is Tony Mandarich. Like coming into the draft, wasn't he like a highly touted guy like that?
Jonathan Cooper was a guy that
Okay.
that went really, really high and didn't work out. I mean, there's been a few guards over time, but it's just way too rich for the position
Yeah.
overall. You have to get just absolutely game-changing production from that spot. And there are guards that are game changers. And in hindsight, if you had taken them at 9, once they get to year 8 or 9, you aren't thinking about that. And it turns out to be worth it because they can be pillars to your team, but they are extremely rare players. Will Campbell could possibly be that. I mean, he could be that for somebody. I just don't know that I can make the investment to find out.
Yeah. No, for sure. I can't do that and then sleep good at night either. That'll do it for this edition of New Orleans.Football. We appreciate y'all for stopping in today. Catch you next time.